What's good, YouTube? Today I'm going to show you guys how I edit my photos in Lightroom, so let's get started. So I have my photo, and the first thing that I'm going to do is crop it and adjust the geometry. So go to crop. Don't think I want that screen in it. And I can bring this guy's eye line up here maybe. Get a little leading line here. I think that's good. So I like that. I can do something about this in a bit. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do after we crop is adjust the exposure. Although this picture is pretty dark, I think the exposure is actually pretty good. It's definitely the mood that I'm going for, so we'll just play around with it a little bit and see what's up. And I think I'll drag it down. Yeah, that looks right. So just a little bit. And the first thing I like to mess around with after that is usually the blacks. So I usually just kind of crush things, bring them all the way up, back and forth, just to see what I'm feeling, what I'm looking for. And I think I'll bring these up a bit. Whites are pretty aggressive. I think I'll bring the whites up just a little bit, but not too much because that gets crazy. Shadows up just a little bit. Highlights, I think I'll bring the highlights down so we can see that detail on the glass bottle really well. Contrast, I usually don't like to touch contrast all that much. But you can see it does quite a bit. So, before, after, pretty simple, just darkening a little bit and making this a little bit less bright. So then what we'll do from here, the white balance, obviously very warm in this, but if we go this way, everything kind of loses its golden tint, so we'll just keep that as is. Now for the best part, which is adjusting the individual colors. So I'll start with orange because that and yellow seem to be the most prevalent. And I'm just gonna kind of go back and forth and see what I'm feeling on all these sliders. Definitely gonna keep it orange instead of purple or yellow. I think I'll bump up the saturation just a little bit. And luminance, I think I'll bump up the luminance a little bit to kind of compensate for the whites and highlights that aren't up all the way. Then we'll go to the yellow. Definitely want to make this a little more orangish than green, but I don't want to make them all orange. So here, yeah, that's good. We can bump the saturation. I think it's fine as is. Luminance, bring that down just a little bit. Green, there's some labels in there that are green. There's like right here. Sure. Teal. Not really seeing much. Blue. This one's interesting. I think I'm gonna kind of crush the saturation on that and try and make that almost as white as I can. And I think I'll make it really teal. Okay. How do I feel about that? Fine. No. Okay. So that's good. That works. Honestly, this photo might be better in a thinner composition because I feel like I have a lot of dead space kind of here and here, so I can try that out in the crop later. Red, there's some labels that I want to have pop just a little bit, like this one here, this one here. I think it's red enough as is. I think we just want to bring up the saturation, bring up the luminance. And as you can see, we're kind of taking out a lot of the colors that make this not very uniform and replacing them with kind of a brighter white color or making it a little more orangish. And the next thing I like to do is go to the color grading section. So this is where you can have some fun trying out really unique combinations of shadow colors, highlight colors, midtones to see different effects. And I think I'm gonna go for like the classic kind of teal and orange look on this one. So what we'll do is go to the highlights, drag this little wheel around, and make everything a bit more orange. And you can see that pretty clearly. And then you can also adjust this slider here to adjust kind of the intensity of it, I suppose. Yeah. Alright, and then we'll try in the shadows, we're going to go down to this bluish teal. And it affects the photo quite a bit, it looks like, so you're going to have to be careful with it. You're going to have to use it very sparingly. You know, I don't think I want just the midtones. So we'll try it like that. I think that looks alright. Yeah, alright, I think that looks right. And from here, all that's left to really do is add any visual effects I want to do, like clarity, saturation, or maybe some grain. I usually don't use these things too much. It's often just a little saturation boost and some vignetting. But if the photo or mood calls for it, I'll use other things. So in this situation, I actually do want to use the texture slider because all of these glass bottles have some intricate designs on them. So if I bump that up, those will pop a little bit more. So let's try that. Be sure it doesn't look too ridiculous or anything, because these sliders can get out of control really quickly without you realizing. Clarity. Similar concept with the clarity, but it's a bit more impactful on the white, or like the thin lines in the photo, so I don't think I'll do much with that. I'll bring it, how about 5? Yeah, that works. Dehaze, not really the photo for this, although it doesn't look bad actually all the way up, but I'm looking for like a more kind of realistic feel, so we'll leave that alone. Vignetting, definitely not a white vignette photo. I think this will look good with some black vignetting. We'll go around -9, that seems good. Grain, I don't want any grain. It's just not time. Sharpening, auto to 40, thanks to the Sony. And I think that's everything for this photo. Alright, so yeah, I'm definitely gonna crop this. Yeah, 16 by 9, there we go. Make that a bit bigger. Kind of fill up the lower 2/3 of it. And try that, and that's a lot more similar to this one. I think that looks pretty good. Now I'm gonna go back and fix this thing right here. And I'm gonna do this by getting the brush tool, just painting over it, dropping the exposure, bringing the contrast, dropping the highlights, dropping the shadows, dropping the shadows, drop the blacks. Yeah, and it just kind of looks like it's part of the vignette there. And I'm pretty much finished. All that's really left to do is export, and this is dependent on what you're exporting for. If you're exporting for Instagram, you can definitely export with significantly less quality and file size. But if you just want this for something that you might print out, or you're not sure what you're doing with it, like me, then I usually save it in a pretty high quality so that I have a very nice image whenever I want to use it in the future. So in this instance, I'll go up to export, custom settings, file type JPEG, dimensions full size, quality 100%. I already have the name set up, and export one photo to the light folder, and you're done. And now let's do a little before and after to see what it looks like. Alright, and that is how I edit photos in Lightroom. So if you guys enjoyed this or learned something, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, the usual. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.